been doing? Like she crazy? Cursing at her? Telling her what you won't do? You won't clean your room? You won't do what you want to do? And you talk to your mother like that? Like you tough? Do you think you tough, little man? Talk to me like you talk to your mother. Talk to me. You think you're tough, don't you? Boss up on me. Cuss me out. Tell me you ain't gonna do what I say do. I dare you. I dare you. You ain't gonna do it to me? Why you do it to her? Why you talk to her disrespectfully? Why? Little boy, answer me. Why do you talk to your mother disrespectfully? You don't know why you do it. Today I'm gonna help you find out why. And today it ends. Today it ends. Do you understand? You will not call your mother out of her name ever again.
Was he a prisoner?
Was he? The prisondoctor.org.
Yeah, you ever watch that show Scared Straight?
Nah.
They used to take these kids. I can't show it on YouTube because it'll get copyright claimed, but they would take kids into a prison with hardened prisoners, these kids that thought they were tough.
Yeah, I have seen that,
the prisoners would scare the fuck out of them. But one time, this kid was smart enough to know that there's cameras there. This guy can't actually hit me. So the prisoner got in his face and was like barking at him, like, what you gonna do, bitch? What you gonna? And the kid was like, what are you gonna do? And the prisoner was like, what am I gonna do?
Sorry, no one handed me the script for this part.
If that kid had any sense, he's 10 years old, so obviously he wouldn't know. But that guy obviously can't do anything realistically, right? He's hired help. But do I think that's a bad idea? No, I don't, because there's so many shitty kids these days that do need to be scared straight, and there's no fathers in the households. Yeah, I think that's fine. Scream in that kid's face until he pisses his pants if he's disrespecting his mum at 10 years old. I don't know what he was doing to her. Was he calling her by her first name? That's crazy to me. I would never call my mum by her first name. She'd slap me right around the face.
I wouldn't want to anyway.
Yeah, she's not your friend.
But, I mean, not having kids yet and not knowing how I would feel in that situation, I don't know.
If I have kids, I obviously plan to be present in their lives, so that'll be me doing the screaming. But if for whatever reason I knew somebody that didn't have a dad and he was disrespecting his mum, I don't think that's the worst idea in the world.
But people always get scared of strangers. Like, have you ever been out somewhere and somebody's kid's misbehaving and they might like point you and go, oh, the man's going to tell you off?
Yeah, and they're like, because you don't know.
They're getting scared because it's just a stranger. So to him, that's a big strange man, adult, shouting in his face. That is scary, you know?
Because the kids are smart enough to realize, I know what mum usually does when she gets angry. I don't know what this guy's about to do.
Exactly. But if this guy just shouts at him and that's it, do you think that's really going to teach him a lesson and make him start respecting his mum after? Because at the end of the day, nothing happened. He just got shouted at.
No, well, the guy said, I'm about to show you why you're not going to do it anymore. So obviously the video cut off.
But then what happens next?
I'm assuming something that we can't show on YouTube happens next. That's probably why it cut off. But you can't just shout at a kid and not teach them the consequences. And you can't beat a child, because a lot of parents back in the day were just, you'd do something wrong, you'd get a beating. And which is fine. I do think kids deserve a good beating sometimes. I'm one of those people like, yeah, whip out the belt if it need be. But you also need to tell them why. I know people are going to push back on that, say it's child abuse, whatever. Look, I got my ass whooped when I was a kid, when I did certain things, and looking back on them, I 100% deserved it. I got my ass beat in front of all my friends in school, right? Listen to what my dumb ass did. There was a guy in my primary school called Davide, right? And Davide had exclusive Pokemon cards that I really wanted. So Davide was like, Mike, let's go to the boys' toilets. Let's go into a cubicle, pause, no homo, and let's trade Pokemon cards, and then nobody will notice.
That sounded serious.
Yeah, there was a proper
serious business.
Proper business going on. These were first. This is back in the day when Pokemon had just come out, right? So we had the first editions. This was the OG shit. This was like Stardust. So we went into the cubicle, and I'm there trading Pokemon cards with him, and I hear this voice, which is my brother's voice. I'm like, what are the fucking chances? Then I hear my mum's voice. And I was like, why is my mum in the boys' toilets at this time? What is going on? Now, my brother had fucked up and done something wrong, and my mum came into school. Everyone in the school knew my mum. Mum came in to whip him in front of everyone. I don't know why I did this, and to this day, I will never understand. I was so scared when I heard my mum's voice that instead of just staying in the cubicle and waiting for her to leave and then scurrying back to my lesson, I opened the cubicle door and stood there and looked at my mum. And my mum looked at me, and I saw her turn from my mum into a demon. She grabbed my ear, dragged me all the way back to my year 4 classroom in front of people who I'm still friends with today that know this story well. She pulled down my trousers in front of everyone, exposed me, bent me over, and smacked the shit out of me. And then she turned around to everyone in my class.
You can't do that these days, you know.
Yeah, the teacher was flabbergasted. She was just standing like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
In front of all the girls, the girl that I fancied was there. Everyone saw my bare ass getting smacked. And she turned around to everyone in the class. She was doing like a spin, like pointing at everyone, but she stopped at my friend, you know, Fraser. And she was like, if any of you are trading Pokemon cards again, I'll do the same to you. Oh. And then she's still holding my ear after smacking my ass, right? She hadn't let go of me. She threw me onto the table. And I sat next to Fraser. And Fraser...
You must have been the most quietest you've ever been in your whole life. You know that shock.
I got fucking humbled. The boy that I was humbling in the lesson, right? He was pissing me off, and every time I'd come in, I'd give him a good smack, right? I couldn't chat shit to him anymore. Nah. He was sitting there, the kid that I used to like fight with all the time, with his arms crossed, looking at me, smiling. And Fraser, who's supposed to be my best friend, is sitting there, and he's just going like this. To this day, I've never lived that down. I don't know if any of them other than him remember it, but she beat the fuck out of me. And you know what? She explained to me as she was dragging me down the corridor why she's about to beat me. So I understood full well. And you got to tell these kids why what's about to happen is going to happen.
So that they know.
So they know. I mean, if you just beat them.
If your dog pisses inside, you need to show him the piss before you...
Yeah.
Tell him off.
Yeah, I never used to understand that, but my mum was right. She used to get Tinkerbell, be like, what's this? I was like, Mum, why are you putting her near the piss? She's a dog, but they do understand.
Yeah. Otherwise they won't know why they're being shouted at.
Yeah.
My dog now knows. So like if he does something, I'll look him, I'll go, what did you do? And he'll start like walking away really slowly, like ears down and everything, because he knows.
Yeah, you got dogs and children, you got to teach them. But I never ever traded Pokemon cards again in lesson. I was so scared to do it because I always thought to myself, my mum's just gonna appear out of nowhere and beat me again in front of everyone. I couldn't. The first beating I survived, humiliation was peak, but I survived it. If she did that to me again, I couldn't come back from it. I got my ass whooped when I was a kid. I deserved it. But to be honest with you, compared to my other brothers, I got my ass whooped the least because I learnt very quickly. There was one time when my dad beat me, and instead of me just taking the beating, I got up and I said to him, pain's temporary, Dad. And he looked at me and was like, what did you just say? I said to him, pain's temporary, Dad. I'm going to do it again. You can hit me, I'll do it again. I thought I was going to die that day. I was really testing his patience.
But do you know that teachers will actually call social services now if they hear remotely that you've hit your child?
Yeah, well, I'm not a kid anymore. So, I mean, if they call social services on my mum, I'll just hit the teacher. My mum would be smacking me, and the teacher thinks I'd take their side. They get on the phone to social services, I'll start smacking the teacher. Then my mum will smack me for smacking the teacher, and we're just in this vicious cycle. I'm not saying that parents should beat their children. I don't even know what the line is. I'm not a parent, but I know it straightened me out sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can obviously be a bit unjustified, but I just think it's very hard.
Everything's much scarier when you're a kid anyway.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's hard to find the line on how you go about doing those things. So I would never advise a parent to do it. But I'm not against the idea entirely, just because it worked on me and I think I needed it.
You know, when you were younger and you'd get shouted at by your parents and you'd sit and think like, oh my God, like it was the scariest thing, like they're so angry at me, whatever. But then now that I'm around people my age who have kids, and I watch them shout at their kids, and then they just carry on laughing in a normal conversation. Really, it's like at the time, is that what my parents were doing, just laughing with their friends straight after shouting at me, and I was all there like depressed, like this was the worst thing that could have ever happened to me.
Like sitting in your room, like, oh my god, do I go downstairs? Like,
you're scared. Yeah,
they do though. Like, my friend who's got a kid now, I saw her scream at her daughter, like get mad, and then she shut the door and just went back to just talking shit, and I was like, oh, that's how it goes.
Yeah, we now know what it's really like.
Oh man, we're getting old.
Oh, don't say that.
Sure, all my friends have kids.
Same.
I think there's like, well, actually there's a couple of us that don't have kids, but there's a fair amount of us that do. Anyway.
Same.
Do you want kids right now?
Mm-hmm.
Right now. Mm-hmm. You heard it here first, guys. Sabi wants children, so start sending in your message requests.
What's up? What's up there?
I don't know. I was just trying to not look at you.
Oh, okay.